Hello all, this is Asmita Chakrabarti with another video lectures on reading comprehension. So in our earlier video we have discussed about reading comprehension. So today here again I am with you all to discuss some of the important points regarding reading comprehension, and also we will be discussing a passage that will help us to know how to solve any passage regarding reading comprehension. So people or my dear friends, if you have remembered what I have told in my last video class, then you will be able to know what are the points that I have actually highlighted in my previous video lecture. So before going into the passage, let's have a look what were the points that I had discussed in my last video lecture. So basically I had pointed out some of the very important things in order to solve, or I had pointed out some of the very simple tricks in order to solve the comprehension in a very well mannered way. So let's see what were the points. So the very first point that I discussed in my previous video lecture was the fact that before reading the passage I asked you people to go to the questions first. Yes, I actually asked you people to go to the question first and then move back to the passage. Why I actually had told you that was the thing that will help you to consume less time for the passage. So next one was to use the clues of the context. Then the third one was the questions are generally put in a chronological order. It does become easier for us to find out the answer. So the third point was that generally all the questions are put in a very chronological order, so it becomes easier for us to search for the answer in a very chronological order from the passage. And the other points were some basic points, like going through the questions very nicely, trying to answer the questions from the point that the questions are asked. So these are some of the basic points that I had actually discussed in my previous video lecture. So today I am here with you to discuss one passage. So I will be giving you a passage, I will be discussing the passage, and of course I will be also answering the questions regarding the passage. But before going into the passage, let's have a look what are the types of passages that are there in your syllabus. So in your syllabus you will be facing two types of passages. So what are that two types of passages? The first one is a discursive passage and the next one is a factual passage. So before going into the passage, let's have a look at the definition or at a very basic idea of what a discursive passage is and what a factual passage is. So basically a discursive passage is something which expresses an opinion or an issue. So if you look at the point that I have highlighted here, is that discursive writing expresses an opinion on issues. It can be argumentative. So discursive passage discusses things. These are argumentative. So it can vary from person to person. Discursive passage, the ideas that are there in a discursive passage may vary from person to person. It can be argumentative. And if you look at the next type of passage that is there in your syllabus is the factual passage. And what a factual passage is, the name itself suggest or signify that it is something that will relate or that will anyway count on facts. So it is somewhat different from discursive passage. If in a discursive passage we will be having issues that are argumentative, if we are having issues or opinions opinions that will differ from person to person, in our factual passage we will be having certain facts that are that might be scientifically proven, or facts that have been anyway proved by some or any or the other way or sources. So these basically are the two types of passage that you have to remember. The first one is a discursive passage and the second one is a factual passage. So So what a discursive passage is? A discursive passage is a kind of passage that will have certain opinion. It will be argumentative. That means it might vary from person to person. The opinion of a discursive passage might vary from person to person. And the next one is a factual passage. A factual passage is something that is directly related to facts of the topic that that passage is speaking about. So let's move to one passage and let's try to solve the questions related to that passage. It's just a kind of just an exercise to let you people know what kind of passage a discursive passage is. So I have already told you in my previous lecture that the very first trick of reading comprehension is to read the question first and then to move or for the solution for the passage. So here too I will try to go with that particular trick. So before going into the passage, let's see what are the questions. So the very first question is which that helps in the relaxation of our body and mind. So if you find if you go through the question, complete the following statements by selecting some appropriate options given below. So you are given 4 options. You have to select one among these 4 options that should be appropriate, taking into consideration the passage. So if you look at the very first question, helps in relaxation of our body and mind. So I have already told you that if you go through the questions first, the very first point that you have to remember is to highlight the important point that is there in the question. So if you look at the very first question, that is question number A, you will get to know that the very first or the important thing that is there is this one, this particular word, which is nothing but relaxation. So you have to remember this particular word relaxation whenever you are reading the whenever you are reading the passage. So if you go through the passage after reading question number 1, let's see what are the points that are there. Role of music in life today. We are rushing through life and everyone seems to be pressurized and stressed out about one or the other thing. Stress has become an inescapable part of our lives. Most of our illness are a result of stress, and to deal with it, we need certain ways to relax our body and mind. Listening to music, particularly gentle, calming and melodious music, relaxes people both physically and mentally. So if you remember the question, if you remember the important word that is there in the question, it was nothing but relaxation. So if you go to the passage, you will find that relaxation or somewhat related to relax is there in this particular sentence. Listening to music, particularly gentle, calming and melodious music, relaxes people from both physically and mentally. So if you look at the options here, what kind of music helps us in the relaxation of our body and mind? Pop music, soothing music, jazz music and rock music. So if you go through all of the options and if you go through this particular sentence that is there in the paragraph, listening to music, particularly gentle, calming and melodious music, you will anyway find the answer in a very easy way. Yes, your answer will be option number 2, that is soothing music. So let's move to the next question. Music is helpful in improving the desk of students. So if you look at this particular question, you will be finding that there are 2 important words. One is the music, next one is the improvement, and the third one is the student. You have to remember that this particular question is trying to highlight 3 important things. First one is music, next one is improvement, the third one is students. So you have to go to the passage to know what are the things that are there which speaks of the students. So music releases endorphins, the natural painkillers in our brain which relieve us from the sense of pain. Music can normalize heart rate and blood pressure. Common occurrences of fatigue and boredom decrease when we listen to music. It diverts our attention from everyday anxieties, therefore reducing the stress caused by such concern. While meditating, listening to music help us to connect with our soul. Students can improve their concentration and boost their memory by listening to soft music. So here it is. Here is the option that is there. Here is the question. Here are the points that are there in the question. So I have already told you that many a times the questions are always chronological. So see, the very first question was from the very first passage. Very first paragraph. The next question is from the next paragraph. So you can see that there is this chronological order in the question. So let's move to the question. What was the question? The question was, music is helpful in improving the dash of the students. So if you go to the passage, in the passage it is mentioned that students can improve their concentration and boost their memory by listening to music. So go to the options. First one is concentration, next one is emotion, third one is relaxation, fourth one is anxiety. So we have already the answer. We have the answer in our hands already. What's the answer? It is the concentration. Music helps to improve the concentration of the students. The third question is, which word from the passage means the same as to renew? So we are asked to find the synonym of synonymous word which means to renew. So this is something which is very important for you people. You have to have the understanding of the meaning of certain words. You have to know the vocabularies that speaks of certain meaning. So in this particular question we are asked what is the word that means to renew. So if you go through the passage, if you go through the last paragraph of the passage, it creates positive energy and happiness. Every cell in the body becomes energetic with increased peace of mind. Music is a therapy for everyone, plants, birds, animals and human beings, to flourish and to rejuvenate. It certainly plays an important part in making the world better for all living beings. So in the last paragraph we have two words that seems to be new or that seems to be uncommon. One is to flourish, next one is to rejuvenate. So you have to know the meaning of these words in order to answer questions like this. In this particular question you are asked what's the meaning of the word that means to renew. So if you look at the words that are there in the options, you will find that one is rejuvenate, one is enhance, one is release, one is relieve. We all know the meaning of these three options. Option number 2, 3 and 4. One is to enhance, next one is release, the third one is relieve. So all of these words, none of these words mean to renew. So our option will be our answer will be option number 1, that is rejuvenate. So this is a very small kind of exercise related to a discursive discursive passage. So you have to go through the questions first and then you have to highlight the important point, that is you have to highlight the important words that are there in the question and then go to the passage. So now see the time limit that see the time that we have spent in actually solving these three questions. It's less. We do not need much time to discuss or to to find the answer in such a way. We have to go through the questions first. We have to highlight the important words. We have to highlight the important thing that is being asked in the question, and then we have to move to the passage. We can give the passage a rough read and then we can anyway highlight or we can anyway point out the highlighted words from the questions. This is very beneficial. This consumes less time. So this is a very short video lecture on how to solve your discursive passage. Join XLH tutorial to have such lessons, to have such exercise with me and with your friends, and I hope you will be benefited with all the live classes that are there in Excellence Care. Thank you so much. Happy reading.